Great, and we are live. I'm Neil. I'm the Calgary lead, and I'm co-leading our Winter Clean Tech Summit with my good friend Jade Alberts. If you didn't know already, next Thursday is our top 20 pitch night. We're holding three summits this winter: one in clean tech, one focused on ag tech, and one focused on life sciences. So February 9th, 4 to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. You can get the details on our website, and there's happy hours in five cities across the Prairie provinces, and it's going to be a ton of fun. Today, I'm super excited to have Liz O'Connell. She's the founder of Airalytics. And Airalytics, incidentally, is like the OG winner of the very first Calgary Startup TNT Summit way back in 2020, which seems so long ago some days. So we're super excited to have you here today. So Liz, why don't you take a minute and do like a proper introduction of yourself and Airalytics?
Sure. Thanks so much, Neil. This is really cool to still be involved with the Startup TNT community. You guys are incredible. My name is Liz O'Connell. As mentioned, I am the president and one of the co-founders of Airalytics. And who is Airalytics? So we are a software-based company, a clean tech company. And we have a software that enables the oil and gas sector to forecast, track, and manage their greenhouse gas emissions. We're really focused on methane right now. That's really where the bulk of the regulations and the ESG pressures are coming from for the sector. And that's a little bit about us, but happy to dive in a little bit deeper as Neil asked me all the questions.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned that you're one of the founders. So who else makes up the founding team, and how did Airalytics come to be?
Sure. Yeah, great question. So as mentioned, there's two others. So there's Emmy Atherton and David Risk. They're both based out on the east coast of Canada. And funny enough, we all met in one of Canada's largest academic research emissions groups based out at St. FX University on the east coast of Canada. And so for years, our founding team, we were collecting measurements, methane emissions data from over 10,000 sites across Canada. And we're really getting a good handhold on the methane and the emissions landscape in North America. And it was really one of those stories of right place at the right time. So back in 2018, the founders were all working more on the academic side, publishing articles, doing research, and brand new regulations in Canada were announced requiring the oil and gas sector to start measuring and quantifying and reporting their methane for the first time ever. And so it was really a brand new pain point. And we thought we had the niche expertise, and we were really empowered to digitize a lot of these new processes and support industry in building more efficient processes instead of using Excel spreadsheets and back of napkin calculations. So it's really just a story of amazing two other founders and right place at the right time and great market conditions for this type of companies to get started off the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's cool to hear the maritime prairie connection that you three share. What are some of the differences and similarities that you see between those two sort of ecosystems? Because I know like the Halifax and the Maritimes have their own like startup tech ecosystem going on as well.
Absolutely. And it's been really neat, but also a bit of a challenge to navigate both and understand what are the resources in each, what are the opportunities, the funding organizations in each, et cetera. So that's taken us a little time to navigate, but now that we understand it better, it's really incredible. Like Halifax, has its own really cool ecosystem and incredible office space for tech companies, really collaborative. There's amazing provincial funding there that we're able to leverage too. And then obviously Calgary, that's where our headquarters, our head office is down in the Ampersand building downtown, and organizations like you guys and Alberta Innovates and stuff, IRAP. Anyway, it's been, really beneficial for us to be able to kind of leverage supports in both sides of the country. We also have a couple employees in Toronto, so we're really kind of all across Canada. We just look for the right people, and if you're based in a small town in Ontario, that'll be okay.
Yeah, that's rad. Well, let's chat about the industry, like broadly speaking. So you're positioned in the oil and gas industry. How have the sort of emissions management strategies generally been changing over the last few years?
Yeah, great question, Neil. And this sector is rapidly evolving in terms of the regulatory landscape, but also some of those more intangible kind of pressures. So ESG pressures, how oil and gas, especially public companies, are looking at emissions from more risk and efficiency perspective. So when we think about natural gas, it's 95%, and that differs a little bit, but methane. And so methane is really the product that you're trying to sell in the pipes. And so when we can conserve that better, there's huge efficiency benefits, profit benefits, et cetera. So it's not just from a sustainability and environmental lens, but it's also from a compliance lens, ESG lens, risk mitigation, et cetera. And since we started the company in 2018, we've seen kind of a global movement for methane regulations across, especially in Canada and the US, but Europe, other countries as well. There's something called the Global Methane Pledge, where over 100 countries have signed committing to lower methane. And also on the regulatory side in Canada, we have a 45% reduction for oil and gas. That's our target currently, and that's actually increasing to 75%. And so it's kind of a signal that this problem isn't going away. The companies and governments are just needing to build strategies around this, and it's becoming a greater kind of thing on their plates for sure.
Totally. Yeah. And that like the oil and gas industry has had a tough long time, years and years, but the commodity price increases and like increasing cash flow situation for these companies over the last year, has that been like helpful in terms of how quickly the companies are adopting like better emissions practices that aren't necessarily only driven by regulations? And how's that impacting like how Airlytics approaches the market and the value that you bring to them?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we love to help support the oil and gas industry become leaders in emissions management, because I truly believe it's a competitive differentiator. Companies that are on top of this data, they have systems to track it and manage it and be proactive about it. So you're not rolling up your data at the end of the year and reporting it out for compliance purposes. You're actually looking at it from a day-to-day, have I hit an outlier emission? Then I need to go follow up that on the site. And so, yeah, I think we're seeing a movement in terms of companies actually adopting this more on a voluntary basis and realizing the other added benefits. There's health and safety benefits, of course, when we think about methane gas conservation too. And so it's been neat to see that transition of, just doing this because I have to check a box and keep the regulator happy, to actually really a culture of being more proactive around this. There's a lot of public targets, net zero commitments, things like that. So we love working with companies to build a bottom-up strategy to get them to that internal target. And our products and our software helps them evaluate those strategies, leverage the data that they've already collected, and ultimately get more value out of it. So it's cool to see, the culture change of companies over the past few years. It's been incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, well, let's chat. That sort of brings us to what's next for Airlytics. So what's sort of the current state, and what does the next year or two look like for you?
Yeah, great question. So pretty exciting stuff in the pipeline for 2023. We just announced an exciting partnership with a international company down in Houston to help support some US market entry down there and help them kind of digitalize their offering. We are expanding our team quite a bit. So we're actually about by 80%. So we're raising capital right now to grow. We need more developers. We need, boots on the ground, people in the US. We need people to help with customer support, everything. So we're at a fortunate place where the business and the market demand is kind of outpacing the demand that our company can keep up. So we're raising additional financing to enable that growth on the team. And we're actually doing that right now. So that round is kind of active. And so if you're an investor listening to this, feel free to reach out because we have big plans for 2023.
That's awesome. Well, we're super excited to keep following along. We're like really happy to be part of the Airlytics story at Startup TNT. And then maybe to close us out, do you now that you're a seasoned entrepreneur and you've been living in the thick of it for years now, do you have any advice for new founders that you wish you had known earlier?
Yeah. Gosh, I still feel like a new founder in the sense that I'm like a sponge. I'm always learning. And so it's not like I have all the answers by any means. But I think one thing that's been interesting is, especially going through all these different incubator and accelerator programs, and you meet different mentors, really listening to every single piece of advice, but ultimately at the end of the day, choosing what's best for your company. I struggle sometimes with all the diversity of opinions, and they always conflict. You talk to one advisor and then you talk to a different person, and just coming back to your core vision of what you believe is best, what the founding team believes is best, and acting on that. So I think think broad, talk to everyone, but ultimately what's best for your company. So keep that in mind as well. And balancing that is always difficult.
That's great advice. Thanks, Liz. With that, I think that's all the questions I had for today. So I'll let you get back to the 90 things you got to get done today, probably. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Neil. Good luck with hosting all the upcoming summits. I hope to see you at one of them.
Totally. Well, I'm there all the time. Awesome. Thanks, Liz. Have a great day.
Thanks, Neil. Bye.